Welcome to our discussion on the Naglieri General Ability Tests, verbal, nonverbal, and quantitative. These three separate tests measure general intellectual ability using verbal, nonverbal, and quantitative content. The main goal of these tests is to ensure that identification of all gifted students, regardless of their race, ethnicity, educational opportunities, and language, can gain access to gifted and talented education. In this video, we'll have the opportunity to hear from each of the authors, Dr. Jack A. Naglieri, Dr. Dina M. Brulles, and Dr. Kimberly Lansdowne.
We are looking at general ability regardless of the language that people speak. The premise of the verbal construct of these test items, we're trying to encourage students to find conceptual understandings by looking at the relationships between the items in the test. Try to find similarities, patterns, see relationships, and determine what do these have in common the most.
The nonverbal test is comprised of diagrams. We're trying to determine the extent to which a student can understand how parts go together, the relationships among things. That's the key.
And so the quantitative items, they all require examination of relationships among numbers, symbols. They have minimal mathematical knowledge is required, but it's important to note that there are no word problems. So regardless of the language that a student speaks, they're going to be able to solve these quantitative reasoning items.
The directions are, rather than given orally by the teacher, are provided with a video demonstration. So the students watch an animated character go through and answer the test question, learn how to change their answer, and learn how to go to the next question. And it's all done without a single word being spoken. So it's so accessible to everybody.
When we created these animated directions, we really were conscious of test anxiety.
One of the biggest surprises doing the beta testing and working with students, they got so excited about these tests. They see it as engaging. They're figuring it out on their own.
There are many students who we will be able to identify as gifted when we administer these tests that we've explicitly made for fair and equitable assessment. And the eventual outcome will be many more students who formerly could not get into gifted programs could be there.
Being identified for a gifted program really can and has the opportunity of changing the trajectory of a student's life, and especially students of underrepresented and underserved populations. It's just so important for the success of the student throughout their life.
So what we have done in all three of these tests is minimize the knowledge and maximize the thinking. And that's how we can measure ability more equitably.
The kids that concern us the most are those kids with high ability who are not yet highly achieving. And so we want to develop these tools to find those kids.
In our book that we recently published, we estimate there are approximately 1.25 million students of color in the US public schools, K-12 right now, who are smart enough to be identified as gifted and weren't. Just think of the impact on all those students' lives, all those 1.25 million students. That's why we do this work. We had the vision of equity and fairness for everybody.
Thank you so much for watching this discussion about the Naglieri General Ability Tests, verbal, nonverbal, and quantitative. For more information, visit naglierigiftedtests.com. Be sure to subscribe to our monthly newsletter for news briefs and updates, tutorials, and conference updates.